Hey, it's the announcement guy. I'm here with my friend Happy and my other good friend Stacy. Got the big news coming up. What is it, Stace?
Oh, it is Spring Extravaganza. This is a great family event coming up this Saturday, April 8th. There's games, there's eggs, there's candy, there's crafts. There's so many fun things to do. I really hope that we'll see you there.
Hope so, too. Here's what's coming up. I'd like to personally welcome you to our Good Friday evening service this year on April 7th. It's at 7 p.m. There's an opportunity to walk the labyrinth ahead of time. It's a tradition that we've done here for many years, one of my favorite services. We go deeply into the teachings of Jesus and his walk towards the cross. I'm going to do some music. Tom Litch, Jennifer Burnett will be here along with Kent Rautensfels and Rob Lowe. It's a time of deepening meditation, prayer, and sacredness. Please be with us.
I admit it, I've had a struggle over the years here in this teaching with the story of Easter. This year, I've made myself go a little bit deeper with that story, and I'm going to bring some new awareness that I've had from the story into the message, the power of resurrection, eternal life now. Plus, as always, it's going to be great music for Easter Sunday. We look forward to having you with us.
The Bible is a fascinating collection of stories, history, and moral lessons that have guided people's lives for centuries. The question is, does the Bible still have things to teach us today? In this 6-week class, learn where the Bible came from and its journey from ancient times to today. Open your mind and heart to receive the knowledge and wisdom it has to share. Sound healing, 6 key spiritual practices for self-healing with the power of sound, with Reverend Linda Rangel and Reverend Zamira Jazwirska. In this 3-week class, you'll have the opportunity for direct experience with the biological nature of your electric body. Learn about biofields and the quantum healing nature of sound while experiencing spiritual practices such as Qigong, chanting, chakra tuning, listening to the alchemy crystal bowls, and more.
Okay, we're here back in the frag room with my friend Stacy. What's coming up?
Spring Extravaganza. Be sure you check out the church website for all the details.
Okay, have a great week. Okay. Now's when we sing the cleanup song.
Good morning. Stand if you are able. Let's sing together. Oh, I see you. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura Berman. Yay, wonderful, yes. Good morning, Mile High Church. So wonderful to see you all here this morning in our beautiful sanctuary, to see you all online watching this morning. We're so grateful for your presence. And one of the things that I love about coming to church is that no matter what's going out in the world, going on out in the world, no matter what pathway I've been on, no matter where I've come from, I walk into this place and I just feel the connection and oneness that we share, the acceptance of every person just as they are, and I feel that great sigh of, here is a place that I belong. And so you belong, I belong, we belong together. Thank you for bringing yourself to this place today so that we can experience that glorious feeling. And part of what unites us all is first of all, our love for Dr. Roger Teel. He's here today. What a joy it is. And he's brought a beautiful message today, as he always does. And our vision and mission unites us. And so we take a moment together in our service to say our vision and mission aloud. So please join me. First, our vision, oneness revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. This is who we are, this is what we are about, and we come together in the truth of this now, and we step into our service in spiritual practice together also. So we invite you to sit back, take a few deep breaths, let us go within. We're going to sing, have some silence, and Reverend Michelle Scavetta will pray us in. Let us begin.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
How good it is to be in the silence, to allow our hearts and our minds to rest in the stillness of all that is. the space where God is, expressing fully as love, compassion, unity, possibility. And I recognize all of the ways that God shows up in the world through the beauty of the sunrise, the warmth of the sunshine, the laughter of our children, through the beauty of each person that we meet, recognizing that God is amidst and among and around all that is, all that has been, and all that is yet to be. And what a joy it is to recognize all of the ways that people around the world celebrate this divinity as they gather in circles, in mosques, in temples, out in nature, in churches. And as we gather right here in this mile-high community, in this sacred sanctuary, how good it is to be with one another, to be in spiritual community here in person, as well as those connecting online, knowing that we are the heart of Mile High Church. And I bless all of the hands and the hearts that have come together this day as we celebrate that divine spark that is in each person that we meet, as we see our reflection of the divine through the eyes of everyone we come into contact with today. And as we move into this sacred service, may we allow our hearts to open. May we allow our minds to open as we stay in the space of sacred oneness through the wisdom of the words spoken, through the beauty of the music. How good it is to be right here, right now, knowing that each one of us is a blessing and that we are all blessed. And so it is.
Lord, if I find favor in your sight, God, please hear my heart cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are. I cross the hottest desert. I'll travel near or far for your glory. I will do anything just to see you and behold you in everything. For your glory, I will do anything just to see you and behold you in everything. Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my heart cry. I am desperately just to see you. I want to see you and behold you in everything. I want to be where you are. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. I gotta be where you are. Sing with us. I wanna be where you are. Yeah. I gotta be where you are in your presence. I wanna be where you are. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are, God. I gotta be where you are. Ooh, I wanna be where you are, God. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are in your presence. I gotta be where you are. Right here I am where you are, God. I wanna be where you are. For your glory, I would do anything just to see you and behold you in everything. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. Peace is where you are. Love is where you are.
Today we have a number of readings to support Dr. Rogers' message. First from Carl Jung. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. And from Helen Keller. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And lastly, from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. This spirit is happy, whole, free, filled with joy, eternal in its existence, and can provide you with everlasting expansion. All your highest hopes and dreams have come from it. The echo of its being is in your intellect. The voice of its unspoken word is in your mind. The feeling of its light and life is in your heart. And the emotion of its imagination is in your soul.
And when it rains, it pours, but you didn't even notice. It ain't raining anymore. It's hard to breathe when all you know is the struggle of rising above that rising water line. Well, the sky is finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. Hold tight to your umbrella. Well, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. If you can see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors. Yellow, red, and orange, and green, and at least a million others. So tie up the boat, take off your coat, and take a look around. Well, the sky is finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing, but but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. Hold tight to your umbrella, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Oh, so tie up the boat, take off your coat, and take a look around. Everything is all right now. Well, the sky is finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. Hold tight to your umbrella. Well, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Yeah, there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Oh, it'll all be alright.
Laura Berman and the Mile High Band, directed by Rob Lowe. Good morning. So great to be back amongst you. Now, you may have had a tough week, but I'm here to tell you you're loved, and I love you, and you've entered a vortex of love, and so rest assured all is well. And if you were blown about this week, as we all were, and here you are in the presence of more hot air, I just don't, it's amazing. You'll tolerate it all. Before I dive into the message today, I want to invite you to our upcoming June meditation and prayer retreat, June 8th through 11. We've done these for 12 years. They're healing events. They're very powerful. Not only will you learn meditational styles and be equipped with a spiritual practice for the rest of your days that enriches you, it's a time of joy and camaraderie and deepening in nature. It's really a spiritual renewal experience. And I invite you to do that. It's June 8th through 11. You can't put this off, though, because we give our reservation room assignments in fairly quickly. So you've got to act on this, but I invite you to do that. Erica and I, along with Karen Thomas, lead that, and it'd be our joy to have you with us. So give yourself a great gift. I invite you to do that. Karen Thomas is in the bookstore, the Works of Heart bookstore. She's the director there. She's got the registration forms. You can easily expedite it today. Not now, but at the end, when you've listened to the message, and done the offering, then you can go forward. Our topic today is the call of the heart, and I'm pleased to be a part of the Spring Renewal program, a 3-part message series that will lead to next Sunday's Easter experience. And the title of the series is Wisdom of the Heart. And a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Michelle helped us understand the research as well as the mystical foundations for the heart, and understanding that the brain is not actually the most powerful and intelligent part of our being, our physical being. It is the heart. It is the heart. It's a spiritual, physical vortex that opens us up to great power, and her invitation was for us to absolutely tap into the genius of the heart. Then last Sunday, Reverend Josh, he shared with us that we are the love that we seek. It's not a commodity out there. We are the love that we seek. And what we get to do is overcome our objections, the ego's objections to love, its fear of love, and that we might then fulfill the possibilities of love within us. Now then, recognizing this very powerful center of the heart, the opening of which totally transformed my life in my early 30s, the question is, how does it call us to greater dimensions of living? Now, I am a banjo player, some of you may know, and what I've noticed of late is there's a good deal of banjo bashing that goes on in various places that we tolerate with love and compassion. And another example, which also solves a long-held riddle, is in this cartoon from the far side that I share with you. So, you admit that this is indeed your banjo the police found at the scene, but you expect this jury to believe that you were never in the kitchen with Dinah? So there it is, mystery solved. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah strumming on the old banjo. Now we know. I thought of that also as this past week, our former senior minister, whom I served after, Dr. Fred Vogt, a beloved mentor and friend, it was his birthday last week. And I remembered that Fred always liked to challenge the congregation with this question. He said, if you were hauled into court and charged with being a science of minder, a religious scientist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Yeah. Today is about manifesting clear evidence of the power of love at work in our lives, exuding from our hearts, and learning to discern and follow the call of the heart. Now, in the Christian calendar of holy days, this is a significant Sunday. It is dubbed Palm Sunday. It's a great opportunity to connect with the incredible teachings of that master teacher who was challenging humanity to activate the power of the heart. And I believe that he was the greatest teacher and example of the open heart in life. He would say, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then he would say, and it seemed outrageous, but he would say, hey, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which spitefully use you. And ultimately he would say, I have loved you with an everlasting love. So in that Palm Sunday scenario, what we have called Palm Sunday, what was happening then was that Jesus had completed his several-year ministry in Galilee. And then he made his first visit to Jerusalem, where for several months it is said that he taught and he healed there. Then he left and he journeyed to a small town called Ephraim for 3 months of spiritual preparation. You see, he was very, very clear of the challenges that were lying before him. He was very clear about what was going on. You see, his fame had reached an epic all-time level. He was indeed the superstar that the musical talks about. Because recently he had just raised Lazarus from the dead, and he had become an ever-increasing threat, an enormous threat to the power structures of his day. Nonetheless, 6 days prior to the Feast of the Passover, he made what's called the great decision to go back into Jerusalem anyway, knowing that it would surely mean his demise. But he went back anyway, and as he rode in on a borrowed donkey, receiving what in that day was a hero's welcome as the people brought out palm fronds and laid them on the road in front of them as they entered. And they were all yelling, Hosanna! And yet those very same people would in just a few short days be yelling, crucify him, crucify him. To me, this represents the clearest, most powerful demonstration of honoring and following the call, the mandate of the heart. Absolutely the most beautiful and powerful expression he was absolutely showing us the power of courageously doing the bidding of Spirit, the bidding of love, the bidding of the divine. It was living in integrity with the truth that he was about. The heart calls each of us, maybe not to lay down our lives like that, but the heart calls to each of us. You see, the heart is our bridge into the higher self, or what could be called the Christ self, made in the image and after the nature and the likeness of God. And this higher self, this Christ self, is immersed in the infinite love and intelligence of our creative source. So our higher self is also permeable to the great ideas and the energies and the capacities of God itself. This is where, when we go to an open heart, it's where we step into an immediate experience of the divine. And we begin to realize the expanded capacities of our own being that we're intended to manifest. We're intended to grow into these capacities. And when we go to the heart center, get out of our heads and into our hearts, we come to know this. However, the practicality and the expediency of the ego or the worldly mind is so very often allowed to obscure and overrule the call of the heart, the guidance of the Spirit, or even the reliance upon heart in our life. Yet nonetheless, the heart continues to call to each one of us. It calls to us. It calls us to our spiritual greatness and to our higher design as co-creators with God, co-creators of a really great life, co-creators of the kingdom of heaven on earth, not later, but now. Now. That's the call of the heart. Now, I know also that the heart calls each of us in unique ways. But I also believe that there are 3 heart callings that are universal to us all. That in one way or another, at one time or another, we sense and feel within us. And the first of these, the call of the heart, transcend your life-limiting fears. Our hearts know we're not fear-based beings. Our hearts know that we're commissioned to be emissaries of God, which is to be an emissary of love. That's what our heart knows. So the heart calls us to end our servitude to our fears. And heaven knows we pile up fear after fear after fear. Even infants, they say, have 2 fears, the fear of being dropped or the fear of loud noises. But then, of course, as the months and years creep on, we pile fear after fear after fear after fear on top of that until we're loaded down and fully ready to access any menu of fear necessary to stop us from being vulnerable, to being available, to slow the wheels of change that we think we can. It's this litany of fears that cause us to hide out in the illusion of a false security in our lives. And we begin to, what the Bible calls, grieve the Spirit. Because we let fear be the determiner and the decider. And it puts the brakes on. And it enshrouds us in this life. And yet there's an antidote. As it's also written in the Bible, perfect love casts out fear. Casts out fear. The call of the heart is to stop being a puppet of fear and become a master of fear. Now, fear is going to be with us in our life. To be a master of fear does not mean that you drive it out of your life, especially if you're living a dynamic life. You're going to have fear. You're going to have fear. But the master makes sure that fear is in the back seat, not the driver's seat. The master of fear knows that, as I wrote in my book in a chapter called This Fear is Friend, the master knows that fear is actually a friend reminding us we're not where our power is. And it's time to get back to our hearts. That's where we have the power to overwhelm the fear. That's where we can connect with our passion for our purposes, for what matters to us. That's where we gain the gift of courage to go ahead and do it afraid. Masterful living is we go to our heart when we're afraid. And we're no longer a puppet of that fear. We're still experiencing it. But we're overwhelming it with that passion, with that courage, and we go ahead doing what we need to do, being what we need to be. Now back to that Jerusalem experience for Jesus. So after presiding over what was later to be called the Last Supper, Jesus went with his followers to the Garden of Gethsemane. And there they slept and he prayed. And he was afraid. There's little doubt of that. He was troubled, sorely troubled. And he said, Father, let this cup pass from me. And we can relate when there's something big before us or we seem to be threatened. But the heart is calling, and we want to say, as Jesus did, hey, Big Daddy, if there's another way than this, I'm on board. And yet, as he very honestly and vulnerably proclaimed this, it's also reported he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. What a beautiful demonstration of calling out the fear and acknowledging it, but not letting it run the show. And honoring the call of the heart in his life. Where is it time for you to let your greater resources of heart take you out of prisons of fear? I'll tell you about a man named Robert Smalls. He was born in 1839 in Beaufort, South Carolina. He was a part of our tragic history of enslavement of African Americans, and he was among them. In his youth, he was shipped to Charleston and given many jobs, but in the process, being near Charleston Harbor, he learned the ways of sailing, calculating the water's depths and navigating that harbor. He became expert at it, and in fact, he was the unofficial skipper of the Planter, which was a Confederate steamship. Now, he had a burning desire in his heart of hearts to escape from enslavement in his life. And he was self-taught to read and write and had these sailing skills. And he wanted a free life, but he was so afraid because he knew what happened to those who tried to escape that situation. Nevertheless, on May 13th, 1862, Smalls sneaked his wife and 3 children onto the Planter steamship while the white officers were asleep. And he took command of a crew with 12 slaves. And then Smalls raised the Confederate flag and steamed through the harbor right past the other Confederate ships, who really didn't give it another thought, and sailed out into the Atlantic Ocean. And then when he was far enough out from the range of fire from the Confederate ships, he took that flag down and he flew the flag of truce. And then he brought the steamer right into the head of the Union fleet and surrendered the ship. And then he said to his quote, captors, he explained that the ship was a gift on behalf of all black Americans who were fighting to escape the physical and mental depravity of slavery. Well, news traveled and he became a hero. Lincoln brought him to the White House and honored him. He was then made a captain in the United States Navy and made the official captain of the Planter, now a Union ship. Later, he was elected to the Carolina Senate, and then he did 5 terms in the United States Congress. You got to think about the fear, though, but the possibility. Where in your life does your heart want to go? Where in your life is the opportunity for a greater freedom? Transcend your life-limiting fears, the heart says. You'll get through it with the heart. Another calling of the heart is to unearth your unequaled gifts. Every one of us is a once-in-a-universe person, unique expressions of the Spirit, endowed with gifts and talents, many of which are not being accessed, are being held back for one reason or another. Longings of the heart to express what's special in you and in me. Now, these gifts and talents, they're the substance of what become the really beautiful dreams that can animate our lives. The dreams that are not a bunch of the shoulds that other people and what we've been taught over the years, but the dreams that are authentic to our heart. But so often we're in alienation to what wants to be expressed as us. And the call of the heart is unearth these unparalleled, unequaled gifts. I remember years ago, a very moving time of counseling with a man who had just about everything going for him, ostensibly. I mean, he was very wealthy in his business, had a beautiful family, beautiful home, and everything. But he was depressed. And he was finding himself sabotaging a lot of stuff. And he said, I don't want to blow this all up, but I don't know what. I'm not happy. And we talked a long time, a number of sessions, and then he took our inner child journey, and all of that kind of catalyzed a realization he had one time in my office. He had a memory that when he was in his early teens, his grandfather had given him an art set. It was a beautiful brushed aluminum case, and it had everything in it. It had watercolors and oils and the brushes and the knives and the palette. It was gorgeous. And he was so excited. And he found it and he started using it. He was good at it. And he got incredible joy at it. But then his brother started teasing him. And then peers started teasing him and piling on as well. And then one day his dad came home after losing his job and yelled at this man, saying, quit this damn art and get out and get a part-time job to help the family. So he was just crushed, and he told me of the day that he went out into the backyard next to the garage and he dug a hole and he buried that art set. And he didn't do art since. And then as he shared that, he was sobbing. He said, I get it. I stopped doing what I really wanted to do. He got the message. And he told me later on that he actually went to that house, still in their family, dug up that art set. And it was pretty corroded by then. But he didn't use it to actually do the art. He kept it around as a symbol to not do what he had done to himself ever again. And then he got back into art classes and he started painting, and it started flourishing through him. And then he got into pottery and into sculpting. Then he did the outrageous. He quit his job, he packed up his family, and they moved to Sedona, and he rented a small storefront, and he started selling his and other people's art. And I love the letter I got from him that said, I've never been happier. The store and my family were doing great. And he said, if you ever get a chance, tell my story and tell people, don't bury your dreams. And don't bury your gifts. And if you have, go dig them up. That's a call of the heart, gang. Finally, a universal call of the heart is to shine your healing light. Shine your healing light. We humans are an interesting bunch of beings. We've been given the creative consciousness, which in miniature is the same consciousness moving in the mind of God that created all form, from the inner to the outer, from the idea to the form. And we're given access to that very process to master, that we might reveal our spiritual possibilities. And yet we misuse this ability, and we create a lot of beauty, but we also see what's going on in the world, and we create a lot of travesty and a lot of suffering. And then there are those who say, well, why isn't God taking care of this? If God is love and God is everywhere, and God, why isn't God healing this? And I believe that if the Spirit of the Divine could speak to us, it would say, I didn't create this stuff, you did. And I've given you the wherewithal and the answer already. And it's here in the heart. Shine the heart, step into what you're designed to be, and let's join hands and let's create an answer. And let's resolve this. It's the call to shine our healing light. The great teacher said, hey, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine. He said, I've shown you what's possible. I didn't come here to be the great exception, but an example to you. This is what's possible. I've told you that the kingdom of heaven isn't later. It's not up there or over there. The kingdom of God is within you, I've said. And I've told you, the things that I have done shall you do, and even greater things shall you do. The divine is telling us that. And now, as we awaken to the power of the heart, we gain the capacity to do just that. An organization I helped found quite a while ago called the Association for Global New Thought. We had a lot of conferences. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was at 3. And there was one we had with young spiritual and social leaders. We were lifting them up and connecting them. And one of these young people was a man from India named Nipun Mehta. Nipun Mehta. And now he's gone on, he's got a website where he publishes a lot of articles about what's going on productively in our world, and he's got a blog and all this good stuff. Nipun has coined a term that I really love, heartivism. Heartivism. It's activism energized and guided by compassion and kindness. A lot of people have causes, and they're worthy, but they're angry activists who unwittingly perpetuate the deep foundation of division and in a way sabotage their very efforts. But Nipun's talking about making a difference, but making sure that it is inspired by and energized by the heart, and that it is of compassion and kindness. And the big change agents like Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., they demonstrated this heartivism. This is a capacity not just for them, but for every one of us. It's time in our world for us to step forward in this way. You see, the heartivist doesn't take sides. Say, oh, I'm going to get on this side and battle with this side. The heartivist says, there's a bigger truth around that I can draw around both sides. And I can bring out energy and healing, because heartivism is about oneness, the oneness of all beings, regardless of all the ways we divide. It's oneness. And heartivism is about what's the higher answer than the two sides or the many sides in conflict. And that's what we need. Oh, we need that. That was Jesus' way. He didn't go into Jerusalem to defeat the Roman authorities or to supersede even the Pharisees and Sadducees of his own tradition. He said, I'm teaching something bigger than both and can include both. And that's the presence of God now. The kingdom of heaven within. The Christ within, your hope of glory. And that's what we get to be about. The amazing power of compassion and kindness we underestimate. Let me tell you about a man named Mac McKinney. His picture is going to be up on the screen here any second. You may have heard his story. He's from Muncie, Indiana. A Marine Corps veteran. He had many years of serving, rounds of service, the last of which was in the Afghanistan conflict. When he finally accepted his honorable discharge, he left the service as a very wounded, emotionally wounded human being. He carried an enormous load, he admits, of shame and guilt for some of the things he did and what was going on, and a lot of PTSD. And he was just barely making do as he came home. And then in 2002, we had the 9/11 experience, and that enraged Mac, and it boiled and seethed within him. In 2009, he concocted a plan that he wanted to kill as many Muslims as he could at the Islamic Center in Muncie, Indiana. So he planned to detonate a homemade bomb on Friday afternoon when the congregants regularly were filling the place. And he, by his own admission, says, I was hoping for at least 200 or more. Gone. Now, based on his training, he knew the key to this mission was for him to do reconnaissance beforehand. So he decided to just walk into the mosque. And one day he did. And he didn't look anything like most of the people who were there, and he was obviously a stranger. But he was shocked to the core by the degree of love and patience and kindness that was lavished upon him. He was absolutely shocked to the core. He said, he said, the more time I spent around them, the more I started to change. One family even took him into their home and fed him on several occasions, continuing to lavish kindness upon him. Something began to shift in Mac. And over about 8 weeks, he changed his mind, and all the hatreds and the plans to hurt dissolved out of his heart. And he says, they showed me what true humanity is about. He couldn't get enough of it. He kept going there. It was healing. And then he started studying the true essence of Islam, which, like the many great faith paths, ultimately teaches love. And he decided he had to become a Muslim, which he did. And he continued his deepening and his healing, making amends where he could. For a couple of years, a couple of terms, he served as president of the mosque several years later. And now he travels across the country teaching about his own journey from hate to understanding, his journey to the activated heart. And this story is the basis of a short film you may be aware of called Stranger at the Gate. It was recently nominated for the Best Documentary Short Film at the recent Academy Awards, and Malala Yousafzai was a part of the production. She was an executive producer. And may we take this in and just own the power of an activated heart, the power of transcending the differences and the appearances, the power of unconditional kindness to be healing in our lives. And you may say, well, that's just an isolated incident. It's only isolated because it's only used in isolated incidents. It needs to be a universal thing. And guess what? We're it. We're called. Your heart calls, or you wouldn't be here. And it's the key to living a great life. Kindness. Shining our light. One of Erica's friends, a Sufi Muslim lady, Salima Sanford, writes, become kinder with every hour, for every hour takes you closer to your departure. We've got this day. Who knows if we've got tomorrow? But we've got this day to go to our power, to hear the call of the heart, to transcend life-limiting fears, the call of the heart to say, unearth those unequaled gifts, and moreover, the call of the heart, shine your healing light. Shine your healing light. I tell you, we honor that call of the heart, gang, and we will absolutely be stepping into a new dimension of meaningful, happy, powerful living. We'll be stepping into our higher design, our spiritual commission, to be healers, to be channels, to be those who create the kingdom of heaven on earth. It's a life well lived. Let's claim it. Join me in a prayer together. Let a deep breath move through your entire being and further relax you as we gather in this vortex of love, Mile High Church. And may we now quiet the mind and move our awareness to the heart center. Perhaps if I've spoken, you've already sensed it quickening. Let it happen now, if not. Sense that your heart, by just your gentle awareness placed upon it, is warming. Lifting you beyond the world of circumstances and effects, lifting you, transporting you beyond problems and circumstances, moving you with its light energy into the kingdom of at-one-ment, into the vast, infinite love of the divine, ever holding the world and all of us in its embrace. Proclaiming to each and every one of us, thou art my beloved child, in whom I am well pleased. Let this heart energy permeate you, reconnecting you with your birthright and your greatness. Just know this heart, this love is my highest guide. This heart knows what my mind hasn't even discovered yet. This heart of mine accesses the ideas, the possibilities, the power, the light, the love of God. My precious heart. I stand strong in this heart and I rise above anything that's going on, and I dedicate myself to living from this place, not just visiting occasionally, but living from this essence that I'm experiencing right now. This heart energy pours through me, absolving me of my past, easing the fears of the future and bringing me into the glory of love now. And to it I surrender and allow new inspiration. Feel that. Allow the healing activity throughout my body. Feel that. And knowing you can't contain this, I give thanks that this vibrates now from me, and that this whole place is vibrating in this field, a very powerful field, a healing energy. And we give thanks for the healing of mind, body, and experiences, emotions, right here, right now, as we lavish ourselves in the peace, the presence, and the love of God. And now, knowing that our heartivism calls us to live this in the world, we prepare by envisioning the love that transcends the differences and the conflicts, and that can reveal a higher possibility in the midst of them. And we allow this vibration to go beyond this place and move into our community, into our city, and most importantly, into our nation. That a rising wave of our readiness for something higher than the continued lesser conflicts to birth itself. And we stand for that. We participate in the revealing of that. And in this vibrancy, may we accept peace and well-being for all peoples everywhere, for all sentient beings, and for all life forms upon this planet. For love is the great healer and revealer, centered in every one of us. Thank you, Spirit, for this healing truth. We not only accept it, but we live it and express it. And we know we're doubly and manifoldly blessed. We let it be so. And so it now is. Amen.
For your glory, I will do anything just to see you and behold you in everything. I want to be where you are. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. Wanna be where you are. God, I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Love is where you are.
Thank you, Laura. That's it, right there. That's it. All right, ushers, if you'll take your place, or if you choose to give by the many other means, this is a sacred time of realizing that our heart calls us to the natural generosity and givingness of our spirit and of the Spirit. So we just invite you into this spiritual practice, into the joy of it and the power of working consciously with the energy flows of life, knowing that all good is built out of the givingness and out of the receiving and the giving and receiving cycle. So thank you for your consciousness of abundance and your blessing of this mighty spiritual center. It's important. This is another important heart-centered thing we do. So ushers will take your place. Hold that gift in your hand or in your heart, and thank you for those of you online doing the same in your chosen way. Let's declare together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
Life. I love this feeling I stepped into, and knowing that's always been it. There's nothing greater or more beautiful to be this whole with gratitude. And a heartbreak makes room for love inside me. My faith, all the way from now until filled as high as it goes, fused inside my soul. This lovely heart, yeah. A while ago, in wasn't a bright side I was into. Life had a longing, and so it was. The fire melted my heart into one. And a heartbreak makes room for love inside me. And my faith, all the way from now until filled as high as it goes, fused inside my soul. Woo! Marry me to your love, yeah, God, marry me to your love. Marry me to your love. I am yours, yeah. Kisses made of light, yeah. Marry me to your lovely heart, to your lovely heart, yeah. So here we are. I'm glad to be in love with you for all time. There's nothing greater or more beautiful. All me in you with gratitude. And heartbreak makes room for love inside me. And my faith
Thank you, Laura Berman, Mile High Band, Bijou Barbosa, Mike Marlier, Dr. Kent Rautenstrauss, and Rob Lowe. We are so blessed. And thank you, Dr. Roger, for an amazing words of wisdom today. Oh my goodness. If you are here for the first time, welcome. If you'd like more information about who we are and what we're up to, please stop by the Welcome Center in the center of our lobby or pick up some information on our resource racks as you exit. Our practitioner prayer partners are coming down front. If you would like to be supported in affirmative prayer this morning, please see them right after our service. And I am honored to be teaching a 4-week class that starts this Thursday called Transcending Trauma. And this class is for women who've experienced some form of trauma in their life and who are ready to build their spiritual toolbox of more tools to move from a space of surviving to thriving. It's a 4-week online class, and I invite you to join me.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm holding this pinwheel because it's the last Sunday to purchase a pinwheel on behalf of the Ralston House, and we'll be placing them out in our green area by the sign on the corner. So if you'd like to purchase one, Ralston House is a home that supports kids who are going through domestic violence and abuse, and so it's one way we can give to them. And we're also giving to kids this year by inviting you to purchase a flower out at the event center right over here. We have 2 live flowers out there. Chris and Mike dressed as flowers, and you can purchase a flower to be here on our platform for next Sunday, and then you can take it home with you, and your purchase supports kids in Title I schools here in Lakewood to give them lunches. It's a lunch program, so you give lunches for flowers this year. And we of course invite you to come back Friday night for our beautiful Good Friday service at 7 o'clock. It's one of the favorite services of many people in our community. It's a very holy, sacred, sweet service, so we'd love to see you there. And of course, next Sunday is Easter. It's going to be a beautiful Easter Sunday here at Mile High Church, so we'll see you next Sunday morning.
Yeah. Hey, and before we do our benediction, I want to introduce you to a new friend who's the granddaughter of a man I deeply loved, one of our finest practitioners ever, Bill McGee. He was a trusted friend of Dr. Fred and myself, taught many of our advanced classes at our behest, took us fishing, which was one of the best things. Yeah, that was one of the best things. And I loved Bill so much. He was a great mentor as well as Fred. And so I've just met his granddaughter, who is aware of his legacy here at Mile High and wanted to come out from her home in Chicago and just visit us and see what we're all about. And she's a lovely lady that Erica and I are glad to meet. And would you just shower a lot of love to Katy McGee. Katy, would you stand? This is Bill McGee's granddaughter. Thank you for being here. That granddaddy of yours was awesome. Just awesome. Let's stand for the benediction and the peace song. So we now go our way, certified heartivists, taking our love, our kindness, and our power and light into the world, this moment and every moment, now and always, and so it is. Amen.